Hello everyone, welcome to my channel. In this video I'm bringing you another live gameplay video from our booster box tournament. This time we have CJ playing Kinemon into Steven Zoro. So Steven won the dice roll, but he actually chose to go first, and he starts by playing the Sunny-kun for 1. So it's interesting because typically Kinemon actually likes to go second because the leader ability, activate main once per turn. If you have 1 or less characters, the next time you play a Land of Wano type character card with a cost of 3 or less from your hand, their cost is reduced by 1, so Kinemon typically likes to play down cards like Okiku and Raizo for only 2 Dawn to open up the game. That way they get off to a fast start. But it doesn't look like CJ had that play, so he decides to go with the Momonosuke, which allows you to search the top 5 for a Land of Wano type character card and put it into your hand. He did grab the Okiku there to play down next turn though. So Steven's probably going to swing into this Momonosuke with the Sunny-kun to get rid of it. You want to get rid of search cards like Momonosuke and Bonnie because you don't want your opponent to build up a big hand size. Steven plays down the Brook, which lets you put 2 Rested Dawn onto your leader or a character. So Steven actually is able to swing a full 8k with his Zoro, taking the first life. So we're surely going to see that Okiku, but for now he's just swinging 5k into Sunny's 3k. And he does activate leader ability, it looks like. And we do see the Okiku. Okiku is a really strong card, Dawn times 1 when attacking. You get to rest one of your opponent's 5 or less characters in play. And then he puts down the Veggie Blocker for 1 and the Bonnie Searcher for 1. And he passed his turn. Steven starts his turn off by swinging 5k with leader into CJ. And he already did take 1 life, so yeah, CJ counters 1k. And we got a big play here in Uta. Uta on play lets you search your trash for a red character with a cost of 3 or less and add it to your hand, so he grabs the Sunny-kun and plays it back down. CJ starts his turn off by searching the top 5 for a Supernova with Bonnie, and he goes with the 2k counter Scratch Manapu. He attaches the Dawn to Okiku and swings to lead for 6, and he decides to rest the Sunny-kun. And Steven does take his first damage here. And then we get 5k into that Sunny-kun again, so once again that goes to the trash. CJ plays down the Killer Blocker for 2. And he attaches a Dawn under the Killer. This is going to allow him to use Killer's ability, which is Dawn times 1 on block. Draw a card if you have 3 or more characters in play. Steven starts his turn, he just attaches a Dawn underneath his Zoro leader, making all of his characters an extra 1k in power, and he swings 4k into the Bonnie with the Brook. CJ actually decides to go for the block with Killer and draws a card. Uta swinging 5k into the Bonnie, and Steven's able to get rid of that Searcher. Alright, so we have 2 Dawn under Zoro, making him a 7k. And he does swing 7k into the Okiku. And And CJ is going to counter out here because Okiku is a really strong card and he wants to keep that on board in order to control the game. We see a Rush Zoro played by Steven, and he attaches 2 Dawn, making Zoro a 8k swing. Goes after the Okiku again, and then CJ just chooses to block. So CJ doing a good job of keeping Okiku alive out there. CJ counting his Dawn there. He is at the turn where he can play the Odin with Kinemon's ability. We're just going to get a 5k swing into Steven's Brook since it's swinging over 2k, so it's probably not worth Steven countering out for. And then we just get a simple 5k swing from leader into Steven's Zoro. Steven counters out with a 2k Brook. Leader ability, and that looks like an Odin play to me. Yep. And for 1, he plays down the Kozuki Toki. Kozuki Toki, if there is an Odin character card in play, she gains block. So just another low cost blocker there for CJ. Getting that 8 cost Odin out there with 4 life still up puts CJ in a great position here. Steven starts his turn off by swinging 5k into the Okiku with his character Zoro. And CJ does decide to let the Okiku go. Oh, we do see the Edward Newgate play on curve, and that makes Steven's leader a 7k until the start of his next turn. So we already saw the power of Edward Newgate in Steven's match against Mark. So if you want to see Ivankov versus Steven Zoro, I'll link that video in the description below. So CJ's going to need some big swings in order to deal some damage. CJ plays Momonosuke for 1 and searches his top 5 for a Land of Wano card. And he decides to grab the Yamato. CJ just swings 5k into the character Zoro with his leader. And Steven counters out with Robin for 1k. And we see 8 into the Zoro, and Steven decides that's not worth countering out. And then CJ restands the Odin character card. So Odin gets to double swing, that's why he's so powerful. He's an 8k power, and if you rest 3 Dawn, you get to restand him after a swing. It's just a really powerful card that we got in OP02 for green decks. And he decides to attach a Dawn and swing 9k into Steven's leader card, and Steven does take a damage. So even though 7k is difficult to swing over, Odin does have enough attack power to be able to take a life after the Edward Newgate play. We do see the killer blocker come down with a Dawn attached. So he'll be able to draw a card, but most likely that's going to be removed by the Edward Newgate before he gets the chance. Steven starts the turn by putting 1 Dawn under the Zoro, attaching 2 to the Edward Newgate, and he's going to swing 13k into the Odin character card, and with his ability Dawn times 2 when attacking, he gets to remove one of the opponent's 3k power or less in play. So he does actually pop the killer, and CJ decides to block with the Kozuki Toki, so that's another reason why Whitebeard is so strong. It just gets rid of small blockers, but CJ was able to block with the other small blocker that he had. Steven deciding to go with the Otama play here. On play, she gives one of your opponent's characters minus 2,000, so that Odin is now a 6,000 power, and he will be easier to swing over. Steven really going after the Odin here because it's such a threat, being able to swing twice with 2 big swings. So he definitely wants to get rid of that if he can. And for 1 Dawn, we're surely going to see the Paradise Waterfall here. Really strong event. For 1 cost, it gives your character or leader 2k power, and then you get to restand a character. And the Scratch from Poo makes Odin a 10k, so the attack from Uta fails. And we do see a Nami come down, so Steven gets to search his top 5 for a Straw Hat card and add it to his hand. And he grabs the Gum Gum Jet Pistol, so Steven might be kicking himself here because he invested a lot going into the Odin. If he would have just got the Jet Pistol off the Nami to start the turn, then he could have Otama Pistoled the Odin if he wanted to get rid of it. Steven does manage to take a life though, and it's not the end of the world because he did manage to get a lot of resources out of CJ's hand. So definitely a play that he would have preferred, I think, but he's not in a bad spot here. CJ starting off his turn by searching his top 5 for a Land of Wano card with the Momonosuke. CJ has done quite a bit of searching in this game, and it's served him pretty well so far, getting hand advantage and countering out. He does grab the Okiku, so no counter power there, but I'm not sure if Okiku was possibly a card that he's looking to play down. It's hard to say who has the advantage at this point. I think the Edward Newgate play came at a great time, and now CJ can't play any of his small blockers because Edward Newgate will pop them from the field. But he does have a few larger blockers in his deck that he might be able to play here. He was just counting his Dawn, so maybe we will see the 7 cost Kid drop, but if he does that, he will be tapped out. He does get the 7 cost Kid with the Bonnie, so that is a possible play for CJ. He starts off by just swinging 5k into the Uta, and Steven's just going to let Uta go. So if CJ does drop the 7 cost Kid at this point, I do think that would put him in a good position. 8k swing takes a life. And we do see the 7 drop Kid blocker. So yeah, just having a big blocker that Edward Newgate can't get rid of is going to be pretty good there for CJ. As long as he can counter out the rest of the attacks that Steven could possibly have, he should buy himself another turn. Steven attaches a Dawn under his leader Zoro. And he's probably going to swing into the Momonosuke here with a 1k from Otama. And that's what he does, so CJ letting the Momonosuke go. And I thought we would see Nami into Bonnie, but looks like he's swinging 5k to lead. So really aggressive here by Steven going after CJ's life, and CJ counters 1k. We see a 6k swing from Steven into CJ's leader once again, and CJ decides to take this one. So maybe Steven thinking he won't be able to survive another turn if he doesn't go all in here. We see the Rush Zoro come down, so he's going to swing for another 6k. And this time CJ decides to get a free block, but now he doesn't have any blockers to defend, and while we do see a second Zoro come down, he attaches a Dawn, making him a 7k. CJ has to take, and a big swing from Edward Newgate actually closes this one out. Wow, Steven able to win this one by being really aggressive with the Rush Zoros coming in to provide extra swings to force CJ to counter and block 5 swings. So I would actually say the key moment of that game is what we just witnessed. Like, that's what Zoro can do. If you hold your Rush Zoros in your hand and establish any kind of a board toward the end of a game, like Steven did with the Nami and the Newgate, then you have 3 swings, you add in the 2 Rush Zoro, that's 5 swings. But I would say CJ played that game really well because he got the Odin out there, had 4 life up, but the Edward Newgate play just came at the perfect time. And that's the thing, like Edward Newgate just makes Zoro that much better in OP02. Definitely well played by both, and it would have been interesting to see CJ get one more turn to see if he could have possibly gone for game, but this was just a case of Zoro saying everything that it needed to close out the games. Definitely another close one though. That does it for this video. I have one more match to upload from the booster box tournament. If you like the gameplay in this one, give the video a like and consider subscribing for more One Piece card game content. And I'll see you all in my next video.